Welcome to Lower the Bar with John and Joe. Remember to breathe. This is your Power Hour. Hi, welcome back. And we are doing another podcast today. And how you doing, Joe?
I'm doing much better today than I was yesterday. It was
really?
an amazing week.
Oh, okay.
I came back from vacation.
Mhm.
We were in Florida for a week.
Yeah.
And you know, my husband has a spooky tune machine.
Yes. Do you want to tell our listeners
A
what
spooky
that
tune
is?
machine. It was named by Albert Einstein. It's a machine that reads the DNA in your fingernails and tells you what frequencies you need balanced so that you can feel better. And he's been using it on me and lots of people for several years now because I have Lyme disease, and he's really kept me quite healthy with it.
No.
Except the night after we came home from Florida, he comes running into the family room. What the heck did you do on vacation? He had a list this long of all the things that came up.
Okay.
I said, are you sure you used my nails? Yeah, how much drinking did you do? I said, Al, you were with me every day. We drank 2 nights. We had some wine with dinner and after dinner.
Mhm.
That's it. Well, I can't believe all these things that came up. Well, he was so upset that it made me fearful. And I am not usually afraid of anything.
That's our topic today. We're
Yes.
going to talk about fear.
Well, that's what I thought, because I've had a new experience with it. I don't know if I was more fearful that he was so worried about all these things he thought I had. And I kept saying, I don't have those. Just bounce me. It'll be gone tomorrow. But he goes, oh my God, I don't know what you did. I said, yes, you do. You were with me the whole time. Stop. He's the one with the fear. But, you know, I'm an empath, and we've talked about that. I took on his feelings, and I haven't felt that way in a long time. I didn't like the way it felt. I couldn't wait till the next day when he balanced me, and it was all gone. You know, like you always say, there's just markers. Fantastic. It was all gone. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I spent that whole night thinking, well, God, I guess I can't even have 2 glasses of wine anymore. And that's all I had twice. So that's ridiculous.
Let me just explain to our listeners a little bit about kind of what you're talking about, because it's not like you had, let's say, diabetes or cancer, but something was activated in the marker to activate this. So it's, again, I don't want people to get scared, or they use the machine and then realize, oh my God, I got 3 pages of printout came out of what's wrong with them. But again, they're just markers. So you're clearing that vibration, that energy. Something triggered it.
And some of them were markers of things from the past, because everything you've done or come in contact disease-wise shows up on these.
Right.
Even though it's not active. So you really have to understand what the machine's saying to you. And he always does spend that time. But I'm his wife, so it's, what the heck did you?
Yeah. So what else happened on your vacay?
Oh, well, we went to a concert, a very romantic concert, and it was beautiful. We went to the beach, and it was 58 degrees. It was too cold. I sent a video home, but the last day before we came home, it was 75 at the beach. And even at the beach, that's not warm enough when there's a big breeze, So we have to go back.
Okay. My week was pretty boring, but at the same time, a lot going on for me personally. A lot of purging.
What were you purging?
Gosh, a lot of different stuff, energies, emotions. A lot of sadness was triggered this week. There's a lot going on in the cosmos right now. And what I mean, scientifically, there have been massive solar flares close to Carrington events, which is how they measure them.
And you're very tuned into all these things.
Yes. Well, it only takes 8.5 minutes for gamma light to enter our atmosphere from the sun after these CMEs, or coronal mass ejections, or solar flares. It takes a couple of days for the plasma, the ionic radiation, all of that to come through the solar winds. They're sent
But
here,
most people
but
don't
gamma
even pay
light.
attention to that.
Well, of course not. Well, what's really interesting is a lot of times people feel really strange
And they don't know why.
and they don't know
Yeah.
why. A lot of it is this ionic radiation, plasma, gamma light. It only takes 40 to 80 hertz of gamma light to recode our DNA. So there's a lot of stuff internally that's going on now that is impacting our bodies. So this week, getting back to what I was saying, yeah, it was pretty difficult for me. Up all night, not being able to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm normally by 11:30, 12, I can hardly keep my eyes open, and I'm up till 4 or 5 in the morning,
Oh
like
my
almost
gosh.
every day. I know it's very unusual
I
for me.
couldn't have a good day if I did that.
I couldn't do anything about it. It wasn't like I was trying to stay up. I just couldn't fall asleep. I meditated. Nothing really helped. And my body felt different. I had weird sensations in my body. My eyesight.
Yes, for 2 days, my eyesight, yesterday and the day before, I thought, oh my God, am I gonna have to call my eye doctor? Blurry, can't read well. But yesterday I had more energy on a Sunday than I have had in months. I went from 7 o'clock in the morning till finally I said to myself at 10 o'clock, stop.
That's funny you mention that because I kind of experienced something very similar. Even though I was up late, I didn't get much sleep, but I still felt really energized in the morning. I normally, if I sleep I'm sorry, if I'm up that late, uh, getting up in the morning or late morning, like close to noon, this has happened. Well, I'm groggy.
Yeah.
My circadian rhythm is all messed up. I
It's
don't
called dragon ass.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I was dragging a lot of ass, let me tell you. But I didn't feel it. I was up. I had energy. So yeah, I can't explain that, but it's been a rough week for me that way. And yeah, so
Do you know that that was the first time in a year and 3 months that we've been apart and not doing any work together since we met?
yes, it's been a while. So if we're a little rusty, people, bear with us. It's been a while, but we're actually really happy to be here with you and talk about fear today. I think that's a really, really, really important subject. Most of us experience it, if not on a daily basis, and we need to talk about it.
We need to explore it because there's different kinds of fear. If you fear that something that's happened is going to result in something and you prepare for it, that's okay. But when you fear the unknown and you allow it to create the path of your life because you're always afraid, that's not good at all.
No. So one of the first things that we need to do with ourselves is identify it, understand when it comes up, how it impacts us, and then what we can do to ground ourselves in that moment. Most of the time when we are feeling fear is the time we need forgiveness. Now, that might sound a little juxtaposed, a little strange, but when we forgive ourselves, we tend to be present, if that makes any sense. So when something triggers us or we react to something, if we sort of resonate in love or forgiveness, of just patience, all of those energies that are attached to forgiveness, we can navigate, because we have to start somewhere.
Well, somewhere is identifying that we're leading
Yes.
a life of fear. Because many of my clients that come into hypnosis, the very first thing that they talk about is how they have fear. Fear of their relationship blowing up, fear of something happening to their kids, fear of losing their job, just fear.
It's the same narrative with my clients. It's fear, anxiety.
Well, it creates anxiety, of course.
Yes. When we get to the root of issues, that's usually at the top of the list.
And what happens when fear goes on and on? It's a cycle. When you feel fearful, what do? Everybody does different things.
Well, this is when addiction, other
Mhm.
types of,
Overeating, over drinking,
Yes.
over sexing, over
Yeah.
shopping,
yes,
just to cover up that feeling, just to mask it temporarily.
we default to our comfort zone, Joe. We,
It's not always a comfort
well,
zone,
no,
but
but,
habit.
well, I think innately the body protects itself.
It starts out as a comfort zone, but then
Yes.
it becomes a habit.
Yeah, because actually the act of shifting that space, so to speak, can be just as unhealthy
Oh,
because it becomes
definitely.
an addiction. The body just defaults to it and there's no control. You give away your power at that point. And that's really, I think, how we handle fear, Joe, is staying in our power, understanding the dynamic of how it infiltrates, how it impacts us. And again, we talk about identification, identifying it, and then we can work on changing our response.
Changing our response.
Because when we change our response, we change our reality. And, you know, it doesn't happen right away. It took
Oh,
me,
no. Yeah.
I'll own this personally, it took me a long time to come to terms with that narrative, facing my fears, knowing the work I had to do internally, what to do with myself and how to navigate it. But what I found for me personally, and again, from the conversation of everybody's different, what worked for me was identifying it, understanding it, and then looking at it.
And does it have a basis in truth? Do you have a reason to be scared
Right.
of the unknown?
I would say most of the time it was no.
No, because it's
I
the
get-
unknown. You're
Right.
making up things
You
that
don't
might
know what you
happen.
don't know.
Right.
So that was very helpful to really understand how it worked. And then every time I would feel it, I would just tell myself, this is a construct. This is something I'm doing to myself. And I would take a deep breath and kind of step outside the circle and then come back to the moment with compassion for myself, patience, love, benevolence. And it seemed to just dissolve. I wasn't resonating in fear anymore. I felt grounded and connected. And once I kind of went through that process, everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't come up as much. It didn't present itself as frequently. I'm not going to say I wasn't scared or I still don't feel fear, but it felt nice to be able to control it, you
Yeah.
know?
Empowering.
Yes, being in that power, in that space was really enlightening and gave me a lot of support for myself. And that's a lot of the key to health and wellness too. I want to let our listeners know that we don't need validation. We don't have to go outside of ourselves all the time to validate either what we're feeling or what we're going through or what we need to do. We normally have all the answers.
Yes.
If we just ground ourselves, connect, and be present. Again, take yourself out of thought and just be. And that is the first step to identifying.
What does that mean? Take yourself out of thought. Don't think about it. Don't think about anything.
Kind of just be present. Don't resonate in the fear. Just take a breath, step outside the circle, and come back to that moment with benevolence, with love, with compassion, kindness. And you clear that vibration instantly.
But there's some beliefs in here too that I teach my clients. One, that you were born perfect, that you deserve to be loved.
Well, wait. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we are not perfect. We are perfectly imperfect.
True.
We are not. We come
But
out
that's what perfect
unconditionally
means.
loved, but we are flawed. This is why we're here.
But that's what perfect means in the real world.
Well, yes, I
But I
understand that narrative, but I
understand what
want
you're
our
saying,
listeners to get that we are perfectly imperfect. No one is perfect.
Right. There's no such thing
It's
as perfect.
impossible.
That's why everybody is born just the way they were supposed to be.
Yes.
And they have all the gifts that they don't realize they have, that they're born with, all the gifts they need to do everything they came into this world to do. So building self-confidence is the first thing I do in my practice, making sure the clients understand that when their little one was born, that's the way the little one was born. And then the world put all these negative programs into the person.
Mhm.
So fear really tells you that you're not trusting yourself. You're worried about the unknown. And it also tells me that people are very afraid of change. Very afraid of change, and they fear change.
Yes. Which is really not a very healthy outlook for that narrative, because the one thing we can count on
Is
in
change.
this world is change.
And death and taxes, right?
Well,
But change.
yes, but absolutely. So,
And change can be, just embrace it. Change can be fun. Change can be something different. You can
true.
really
Yeah.
speed your life.
Well, yeah, but tell that to someone that is paralyzed in fear.
Well, that's why we have to help them see that. We have to help them see that their fear is baseless. They need to trust themselves. We need to help them get empowered.
True, but it's more than just that. To them, their fear is not baseless. To them, their fear is very real, very present, and is paralyzing. So, again, I think identifying the issue first,
What they're
and
fearful of.
yeah, and
Okay.
then just having patience, which is another really difficult issue that people struggle with,
Mhm.
is patience.
Even identifying exactly what they're afraid
Well,
of
true.
is difficult. And you know what happens? Any emotion that goes on for a long time that you have not been able to satisfy satisfactorily, healthily, what does that lead to? Frustration. Always is the secondary effect. And then being frustrated for a long period of time, the tertiary effect is depression. Not chemical depression, but just a temporary
Emotional.
depression.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, depending on where they are in that path, you would deal with it differently to help them come back to understand that possibly the fear is baseless. Maybe it isn't. Maybe they have a reason to be afraid of what might happen in the future. Then you can teach them how to prepare for that and then let it go. Because you can't live in it. That anxiety is so destructive to the body.
True, true. So if you are listening and you suffer from fear, and most of us do, just start out, just try being patient with yourself. Have an understanding of what's making you fearful,
Mhm.
like you said, Joe. So I think it's identifying it first is really important, and then moving through it. But again, easier said than done.
Right. It's not easy. That's why it's important to work with somebody who has the experience to help you find a pathway to reducing the feelings of fear causing your body.
So what do you do?
Well, I don't usually feel fear, but the other day, the fear that I felt, I was more fearful of how my husband felt than I felt, because I thought, no, they'll be gone tomorrow. And I knew I didn't do anything to cause that list of things. But I also know there's triggers in my body because I have family histories. And all of a sudden it came up in me, but never did before.
Well, you're an empath, so you're
Yeah.
going to feel
Yes.
other people's feelings and
Yes.
emotions,
I'm a
certainly your
very strong
husband's.
empath. It bothered me all evening long, and it really till the next day, and he ran me again, and it was all clear.
Well, wait. What bothered you? Was it the information?
No,
Was it his
just
anxiety?
yes,
Like what, how did that
his
impact
upset.
you?
It wasn't me believing that I had any of those. It
Hmm.
was his
I got you.
coming in and being so upset. He can be very dramatic and emotional.
Okay. Well, that's important. I think we should talk about that because we have our own fears, but we are also in relationships. We have families, we have workspaces, and we interact with others. And that also creates fear, anxiety, um, handling whatever responsibilities you have, dealing with things. We put things off, it really impacts us. I mean, without using the metaphor, fear is the destroyer, but it really is one of the most difficult issues and emotions that we can deal with, because things come at us sometimes very abruptly or
Mhm.
with finesse and make it a lot more difficult to deal with.
When, when you said things come at us abruptly,
What did
something
you?
happened to me yesterday.
Okay.
I told you I just had this day full of energy, and I was making soup, and I was doing a lot of things. And I put the soup out on the porch, and I had flip-flops on, which was wrong to begin with when you're running around. And as
Okay.
I came in from the porch, was just step down to the kitchen, my flip-flop front caught,
Oh,
and I,
did you fall?
yes, I fell across the kitchen,
Oh, geez.
hit a chair, smashed on the floor.
Oh, my
It
gosh.
sounded like a bomb. And it hurt so much. I just
Oh.
laid there. And Al came in, he said, "Are you all right?" I said, "No, but I am. I'm okay. Just give me a minute. I got stuff to do.
Okay.
I got stuff to do." He said, "Well, let me help you get up." And I was putting apples. I had finished cutting up apples to put in the soup. And the apples I didn't use were all over the floor. But I was fine. I said, "I'm not going to be bruised."
Are we going somewhere with this, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just used, I forget what you said that made me
We were
think of
talking
it.
about fear.
Yeah. Oh, well, when you're flying in the air, you fear.
I get you. I get you.
But I was fine.
Good.
Yeah. And I wasn't scared of what might happen. Yeah. Okay. So,
Yes. Now, those of you who are listening and can't see, Joe's phone just rang and she was supposed to turn it off. So she's a bad girl. Bad girl. Bad girl.
but I'm not scared. I don't have fear. I
Yeah.
should have shut it off. Oh, well, it's off now. So, what do you have here? No, it's not weird.
That's my agenda, not
Yes,
yours.
no, but you had one.
Mhm.
You had, how do some people resonate in fear? Well, how do they live their lives? Let's talk about people who really live their lives in fear, and their fear, they have fear of learning who their neighbors are. They don't like to go out. You know anybody like that?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends who are, I'm not going to say they're antisocial, but they might as well be.
Mm.
They have a lot of anxiety, their work, stress, money. Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you recommend when you work with them?
Meditation is very important to calming the mind. And listen, not everybody can meditate, but we can take a moment to kind of honor ourselves during the day. Take a minute to just breathe and to just nurture ourselves. It's a sort of a mental and emotional place that we go to outside of our day, outside of our routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I let my clients know this, and I don't know why this is coming to me right now, but it's really important. A lot of times people try to take moments for themselves, and the energy behind it is they're escaping, like whatever's going on. The kids are screaming, and you're notching out that time for yourself, but you are escaping your reality. You are running from it to find your sanctuary. That's not healthy. Be where you are, but then hold that space for yourself. Take that time to say, I need me time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing this for
I
me.
deserve
I'm
that.
not, yes, I'm not running from problems, or I'm not running from situations that are stressing me out. I'm creating this moment in time. I'm creating this space to say, this is my time. I'm taking care of me. Now, a lot of people don't know how to do that.
And they don't think they're worth that. Sometimes I think they don't even think that,
No,
but they need to do that
well,
to make
yes.
themselves ready
absolutely
to deal
agree.
with their family.
I completely agree, but a lot of times, Joe, it's self-worth, what they feel they deserve,
Yes.
anger, shame, guilt, whatever is coming up at that moment or what they're experiencing in their lives at that moment. It just goes on. So it's again, it's all about identifying. There's a template. There is actually a template for success. Simple
Oh, I thought you were
things
gonna say
and,
feelings.
well, feelings.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's feelings. It's identifying your feelings.
I want to show everybody
Yes,
this
but
book.
a lot of people are just listening, Joe, so
I know
they don't
that, but
see.
some
Okay,
I'm going to talk about it.
good.
This is called The Secret Language of Feelings. And every one of my clients gets this book. I'm trying to get the light
They
just
can
right.
see it.
By Cal Banyan.
There you go.
And it talks about 8 main feelings and how if you do not satisfy them healthfully, you become frustrated and eventually depressed over it. But once you're able to understand the feeling, identify it, and then look at how you're satisfying it, change your response to it. That takes time. That's
Yes.
not easy to do.
No.
That takes practice. But once you do that, you will find that you feel so much better. You also feel very empowered and healthy. And this book you can get on Amazon.com. It's fantastic. It's at a level of a 4th grader. And I'm telling you, I wish kids would read it because they'd understand how to be nicer, how to be kinder to each other if they read that, or why they feel the way they do.
Good. Awesome. Well, really happy to be here with you today, and so grateful that we have this opportunity to share with our audience and share with our viewers our feelings and our thoughts about fear and how to handle it and deal with it and move through it. Because once we're able to clear it, we can resonate in joy, in love, and happiness, and create a world that brings us what we need. And that's really what this program is about, is stepping into your power and staying in your power, because we give it away so much during the day, Joe. And I want us to convey that to our listeners, that you don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. We can navigate this life in our power and move through the fear.
Yes, and I do believe that the very first thing that everybody can do is learn to love yourself, learn to respect yourself, and that your opinions count. And when you do that, it will be so much easier not to resonate in fear.
And Joe, we hear that ad nauseum, and it's become a metaphor that sometimes you even just go, oh God, do I got to hear this again? But it really is the truth.
It is the truth.
We take ourselves away from that narrative all the time, but just forgive yourself. It starts with forgiveness, and then doing the inner work, the child work, the forgiveness work, so you can move forward.
And we'll do a show on that inner work.
Absolutely.
We really have to
Absolutely.
talk about that inner child. Lots of people don't understand what that means. And it is beautiful to work with your inner child.
Absolutely.
And everybody has one. If you were born, you have an inner child. That little one that was born, absolutely loving and worthy of love.
So this was a great show, and we are very happy that you decided to join us today and listen to what we had to say. And we will talk to you next week.
Any thoughts about what we're going to do next week? I don't think we've really decided.
No,
because things keep changing.
Well, that's it. It's whatever is going on kind of in the world at
We
the
like
time.
change, by the way.
Yes. We are here to help you navigate change. That's really what it's about, and to not be fearful of change.
And if you have any ideas or topics that you'd like us to discuss, please email us
Yes.
at info@lowerthebar.com. info@lowerthebar.com. We'd be happy to consider anything that you have to say.
Yeah.
So until next week.
Thanks again. Love and light to everybody. Have a fantastic week. Make this week count for yourself. Honor yourself. Love yourself. And
Set aside time,
for
me
you.
time.
To take care. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.